The story begins at a university in Pennsylvania, where we meet a student named Rose. Rose needed to go home, and while chatting with her boyfriend, she tells him this. Her boyfriend suggests she should check the campus rideshare board. Maybe a student is heading toward Denver, where her home is, and she could get a ride that way. On campus, there's a board where students help each other out by sharing rides. When Rose checks it, she finds a student named Guy who is driving toward Denver. Rose contacts him, and soon Guy shows up in his old beat-up car. She gets in, and together they start their journey to Denver. During the ride, as they talk, Rose realizes that Guy already knows about her. Guy tells her, "I'm in your class too." Rose is shocked because she had never even seen him before. On the way, Rose tells him she needs to use the restroom. So Guy stops the car at a gas station. But since Rose had just painted her nails, Guy carries her on his shoulder inside the station. Rose goes into the restroom. When she comes back out, suddenly the door is locked. Rose panics and starts banging, screaming loudly. Through the vent, she sees Guy talking with the gas station owner, but they can't hear her voice. Somehow, Rose manages to open a lock. She storms out angry at Guy. "I was shouting so loud." Guy explains to her that in this place, no sound can actually be heard. They leave the station. Guy had picked up some water there, so Rose hands him money for her share of the ride. But Guy smiles and says, "I don't take money from beautiful girls." They continue their trip. Then Guy turns the car off the highway and onto a shortcut. Rose asks why he did that. He replies, "It's just a shortcut." But from his words, Rose also realizes that Guy doesn't actually live in Denver. He had lied, and Rose tells him that she wants to know more about him. "Who are you? Why did you lie to me?" Just then, a car appears from the front and crashes straight into them. When Guy swerves to avoid it, his car skids off the road and gets stuck deep in the snow. Their car is now trapped. Both of them step out, but the other car that hit them has already disappeared. Rose takes out her phone to call her family, but there is no network. That means they are stranded. And when they look closely, they see that the car which hit them left no tire tracks on the snow, even though cars normally leave clear marks. Confused, Rose goes back inside the car because of the freezing cold. She locks the doors from the inside. When Guy asks to come in, she refuses. She tells him, "It's because of you that I'm stuck here, and you could even be a psycho. You're not coming in." Guy then decides to walk back to the gas station to get help. He tells Rose to wait here and starts walking. Meanwhile, Rose switches on the car radio. She hears that a snowstorm is coming, with temperatures dropping to -30 degrees. That means the cold is only going to get worse. While Rose sits in the car, anxious, she suddenly sees a man outside. She calls out to him, thinking maybe he lives nearby and can help. But the man doesn't hear her and just walks away. As Rose steps out of the car to check, Guy suddenly appears. He tells her he had gone to the gas station, but it was closed and abandoned. Rose snaps at him. "Do you think I'm stupid? That station is open 24 hours, and it's far away. How would you get back so quickly?" Now, Rose doesn't believe anything Guy says. Meanwhile, Guy is shivering badly from the cold. He switches on the heater and sits inside the car. Because of the freezing weather, Rose is forced to come back inside too. There, she notices blood coming from behind Guy's ear. She points it out. Guy says, "Maybe I got hurt earlier." After that, the two of them begin talking again. Rose asks him, "Why did you lie to me? You don't even live in Denver." Guy admits, "Yes, I don't live there. The truth is, when you were chatting with your boyfriend in class, I read your messages. I liked you, and I wanted to be friends. That's why I put up the ride notice, just so I could spend some time with you, and we could become friends." At first, Rose is angry hearing this, but later she forgives him. Now the car heater shuts off. When they step outside to check, they see the fuel tank is leaking. Because the fuel has drained, the engine won't start, and the heater won't work. That means they'll have to spend the whole night in the freezing cold. Later, when Rose steps outside, she sees some priests. She calls Guy out of the car too. But by then, the priests are gone. Guy tells Rose to sit in the car while he follows their trail. He tracks them into the forest and reaches an abandoned house, where he sees strange, unsettling things. Meanwhile, back at the car, another man passes by. Rose calls out to him again, but he doesn't hear her. Desperate, she touches his shoulder to stop him, but the freezing cold burns her fingers. When the man turns around, Rose is terrified by his face. It was horribly deformed, and when he opened his mouth, a snake slithered out. Rose runs in fear, but two boys' spirits suddenly appear before her, boys who had been brutally murdered. The sight makes Rose faint. Guy soon returns and finds her. He lifts Rose up, and she, trembling with fear, tells him everything she saw. They get back into the car. Soon after, a police officer arrives at their car. He looks like a normal man. He tells them to step outside. Both Rose and Guy get out. But then, the officer suddenly forces Rose toward his car. Rose realized this officer wasn't a good man. She refused, but the policeman kept forcing her. Just then, Guy struck him from behind with an iron rod, injuring his face. And then something strange happened. Suddenly, both Rose and Guy were back in their own car, as if waking from a dream. They couldn't understand what had just happened. Maybe it was a nightmare. But then they noticed Guy was still holding the same iron rod he had used to hit the officer. That meant it wasn't a dream. Because of the freezing cold, the rod had stuck to Guy's hand. When Rose pulled it out, her hands got wounded too. Then Rose saw a newspaper Guy had brought back from the house where he followed the priests. The papers contained reports of accidents on this very road, mentioning those priests as well. And it also said that in all the deaths on this road, a police officer had been involved. That meant everyone they had seen so far, none of them were alive. They were all ghosts, wandering this road for years. Exhausted, Rose and Guy both fell asleep in the car. Around 2:30 in the night, Rose had a vision. In it, the same police officer who had come to their car earlier was seen forcing another woman into his car. He had assaulted her and killed her. As Rose dreamed, her body began shaking violently. Guy woke up and tried to rouse her. Rose was terrified by what she had just seen. And then, their car suddenly began shaking violently from the outside. Both of them were horrified. But soon, everything went quiet again. Now Guy's condition started getting worse. He had a serious head injury at the back of his skull, something he had hidden from Rose, but now she knew. Guy told her that when he was walking toward the gas station, he couldn't go any further. That's why he came back to her. Rose was very worried about Guy, so she climbed up a telephone pole where there was an emergency phone and tried calling for help. But the signal was too weak. She couldn't give her location properly to the police. After climbing down, she suddenly saw the ghost of the woman, the one who had been assaulted and killed by that police officer. Terrified, Rose quickly ran back into the car. There, she saw Guy, and he looked dead. She tried desperately to wake him up, but Guy was no longer alive. Rose was heartbroken. She dragged his body out of the car. Just then, she saw a vehicle approaching. At first, she thought it was the evil police officer's car. But as it came closer, she realized it was actually a snowplow worker's truck. The emergency call Rose had made, the little location data that went through, had been transferred to this worker. He lifted Guy's body into his truck and placed it in the back. Rose got into the worker's truck, and together they drove away. On the road, the driver told Rose about the history of this place. In the 1950s, there was a corrupt police officer here who took the lives of many people along this road. He caused the accident of two boys, sending their car off the cliff. But that officer was heavily drunk, and he lost control of his own car too. His vehicle also fell into the valley, and he died. But even after his death, every Christmas night, accidents kept happening on this road. In 1961, at this very spot, the frozen bodies of priests were found. As the driver was telling her this story, another car appeared. He pulled his truck to the side, stopping in the snow. The other car lost control and went straight into the valley, bursting into flames. This was the same event that had first happened back in 1953, the night the corrupt police officer had died. Rose realized it, and she tried to stop it. Suddenly, the spirits of the priests appeared too. She saw the past unfold. The accident of 1953 when the officer's car had crashed. The priests could have saved him, but they knew he was a sinner. They pulled out the car's microphone so that he could not call for help. And that was how he died. Later, his evil spirit froze those same priests to death. Now, as the snowplow driver moved forward, the burning flames released the officer's spirit again. It leapt onto the driver, killing him. Rose was terrified. She rushed back into the truck and tried to start it, but the engine wouldn't turn on. At that moment, the police officer's ghost appeared once more, reaching for Rose to kill her. But before he could, Guy's soul appeared from behind. He attacked the officer's spirit. And just like before, Rose suddenly found herself back in the car, with Guy's dead body lying next to her. Soon morning came. Rose saw Guy's spirit outside the car, even though his body was still inside. She knew he wanted to help her, so she followed him. Guy led her past the priest's house and guided her all the way back to the gas station. There, an ambulance had arrived. Rose's life was saved. All she had left of Guy was a photo she had taken of him on her phone. Looking at it, she grew emotional. When the police officer's car had crashed, his soul became trapped in a loop. That is why, every year, his spirit repeats the same accident with his car and kills anyone who travels this road. He would have killed Rose too, but Guy's spirit saved her. And with this, the story ends.